All right, welcome everyone. This is our second Cushing Admissions Interactive panel. We're trying to bring the Cushing experience to you. We have a number of opportunities to do that on our website, on our Reexplore Cushing page. You can look at a virtual tour through pictures on the campus. There are several videos. There's a recording of the webinar that we did last week, which was a similar format to what we're doing tonight. And we also have opportunities for you to sign up in one-on-one conversations with myself, with Dr. Willis, with Mr. Josh Joyon, who's our Director of Student Affairs, to gain more information about the school, answer your questions, and also this week look for information, which I'll remind everyone again at the end of our discussion tonight, for how to speak with some of our students. So if you're a student applying to the school, or you have a son or daughter who would like to speak with student who's currently attending Cushing Academy, please look for that email and we'll be able to connect you with a current student, and you can ask our students those hard questions and those fun questions to hopefully get the answers you need to make your decision for this next important chapter of your life. So before we begin tonight, just want to say that although it's our second time around, please have patience if we have any technical difficulties. We went off with a hitch last time, so fingers crossed that it's going to be the same again tonight. But I will let our panelists just introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what they do here, or if they're students, what programs they participate in. And I'll let Dr. Jennifer Willis start, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Bertin. I am Jennifer Willis. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning here at Cushing. I am in my third year. I operate largely out of the academic office, but I also oversee academic support. And so I'm happy to talk about our academics broadly, and also about academic support in particular. Also on campus, I work with our varsity field hockey team. I coach our JV girls basketball team, and do some of the duty on campus on the weekends and the evenings. And then also I live in Lee House, which is a girls' dorm for mostly junior and senior girls. I live here with my wife and our two young boys. So we're glad to have you here tonight. And I will, Mr. Joyon, do you want to go next?
Sure, thank you, Jen. Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight. My name is Josh Joyon. I'm the Director of Student Affairs here at Cushing Academy. And in large part, one of my roles here is to really think about our student experience. If you have any questions tonight about our advisor program, student leadership, what weekends look like, our dormitories and our roommate process, these are all things that ultimately kind of fall under our office, and that we ultimately work students with to make sure that Cushing experience is going to be one that is memorable. In addition to my role in student affairs, I also teach in our history department, and I also live in Lee House with my spouse and our two young daughters. And we'll pass it along to, let's go to Ryan.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan. I'm a senior. I've been a student at Cushing for 4 years. I'm from Haverhill, Massachusetts. I live in Ash House. I'm a proctor there. I play varsity baseball in the spring, JV hockey in the winter. I'm a head tour guide, and I'm also on the student weekend activities team. I'm excited to answer some of your questions.
So I'm Manisa. I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I'm a senior as well. This is my third year. I am a student leader, a proctor in Lee House, and a head tour guide. I play basketball, I dance, and I'm also part of the acapella club.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace McGovern. I'm a new sophomore from Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm part of the varsity softball and field hockey teams, and I also do the winter musical, and I also a part of the acapella club.
Great, thank you. And as I said at the beginning, I'm Randy Bertin. I'm the head of school. And what we'll be doing tonight is, if you go to the bottom, if you haven't used Zoom before, to the bottom of your screen, there's a button there that says chat. And if you click on that, you'll be able to type in questions that I'll be able to see. So feel free to type those in, and we'll answer those. Either I can answer them, or I'll pass them on to our panelists if they're about student life or the arts, athletics, academics, anything at all about their life at Cushing, or particularly with Dr. Willis in academics and Mr. Joyon in student affairs. That certainly covers a wide range of area. that you may want to know about. So I will wait for the first question to come up. We have 35 attendees tonight, so there are plenty of folks in the audience, and it's just jumped up another one to 9 now. So I know we'll get some good questions from our panel or from our attendees. While we're waiting, Grace, I know you're involved with both athletics and the performing arts. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do, how you balance that, what that's like here at Cushing?
Sure. So something that was really important to me when I knew I was going into the winter musical was keeping in shape for the next season, which is softball. And so I knew that I had to find time to work out while I was still rehearsing for the musical. So what I did was twice a week in the mornings, a couple of girls on the softball team, and I went down to Power Source, which is this athletic training program we have where a trainer comes in and he'll give us a workout, and it's personalized to what you want to accomplish. So I would do that twice a week in the mornings, and then after rehearsal every day, I would either go get dinner and then I would go down and work out, or I would like switch those. But I just made it sure that I could get both done and have time in my day. I also did, sometimes I would work out during my free blocks. So it's just balancing both of them.
Great, thank you. All right, first question for Mr. Doyon. How does the roommate matching process work?
Yeah, excuse me. It's a good question. The roommate matching process works with all new students coming into Cushing. We, over the summer, will ask you all to fill out a roommate questionnaire. And that roommate questionnaire is usually about 10 to 15 questions. And it's trying to get a sense of your likes, your dislikes, and just to give us a little bit more information, more on the student affairs side. And then what we do with that information is we use that information, we work with the admission office, and we try to think who of our incoming students or of our returning students who have let us know that they would like to have a new student as their roommate, what would be a best match. And then from that matching, we then look to ultimately place our students into houses, kind of based on grade. And so kind of what our philosophy here is at Cushing is that we really like our students to really be living around people that are experiencing the same things, ultimately to build some friendships, ultimately to build some connections. And I think too, just to make sure that they're having people who are going through the same common experiences. Like we're not having a freshman live next to a PG or live next to a senior. So we do try to group students based on their likes and also kind of based on their grade.
All right, and staying with Mr. Doyon, and then some of our students can chime in, sort of a multi-level question. So the question for you, Mr. Doyon, is how does your office decide what weekend activities are offered? And then for the students, what do they especially like to participate in? So do you want to start with that?
Yeah, so we have our directors of student affairs, Mr. Donnie Connors, and Ryan. I'm actually going to pass this question along to Ryan, who mentioned a little bit earlier that he is one of the students who actually plans our weekends. Ryan?
Yeah, so weekends are pretty much whatever you make of them. So we do have Donnie Connors, who's the director of student activities. His door is always open. His office is in the student center. So even if you're not part of the team, which is open to anybody, you can just sign up and join it. His door is always open, so you can stop by. He has, a Google form every week that goes out that you can fill out to sign up for, different trips to Boston or some restaurants, malls, sometimes, movie theaters, or, they got all these fancy entertainment complexes now where we like to get trips out to those places, but even small stuff on campus, bonfire. One of our dorms has a fire pit. So all that stuff, but other than like scheduled weekend activities, it's whatever the kids really can find to do. So like my dorm and Ash House, we really like having cookouts. So a lot of us sometimes will walk downtown. There's a little market downtown, and we'll buy some food and we'll bring it up and grill it. Everybody likes watching movies on the weekends, fun stuff like that. But it's really just getting out of your room and having fun with your friends.
Great. Grace, can you share why you chose Cushing and what's most important to you about the community?
Sure. So I transferred in from another school this year, and something like a big reason why I chose Cushing was because of all the opportunities that I got at Cushing that I didn't get at my old school, such as I could do sports and the musical at the same time, and the arts facilities were amazing, and those were things that really drew me. And the most important thing about the community is the people. Like the people in my dorm, my roommate, just like everyone there, I just is so supportive of everything that you do. And I think that's just a really special part.
Good. All right, next question for Manisa. Tell us how it's been attending Cushing as an international student.
I have trouble answering this question all the time just because I don't know the difference from, being a domestic student and international student. It's not like we're treated differently, really. I do know international students come earlier in the year, actually. So we kind of get to know each other and get more comfortable in the new country, the new environment. So that's definitely a plus. But in general, I feel like when you're at a place like Cushing with so many different types of people, what you really realize is that everyone is just the same. Like we have more in common than we have in our differences. And so despite like being international, being domestic, I felt just as involved as everyone else in everything. So I would say being an international student is just like being a student.
Great. Question for, I'll start to answer this a little bit and then I'll pass it on to Dr. Willis. Someone asked how we're adapting to online learning. So our spring break was a little bit later. So we're on spring break through this week, but faculty have begun, actually are pretty in-depth into preparations for next week. And I don't know if Dr. Willis, if you want to touch on that for those in the audience.
Yeah, like you said, we were in, I don't know, I think it's an advantage to have had more time to plan. I know that some schools really jumped right into online learning without much prep time at all. And basically the way our timing happened with how March break fell naturally, we in the academic office and other folks who have been on campus through break have had a week and a half, 2 weeks to plan and prep. So our teachers started today on in-service. Actually, most of them opted into an optional faculty meeting last Friday and did some optional work yesterday morning. But today was the first full day. And we have a whole set of really pretty structured work that we're asking them to do to get ready for 7 weeks of online classes. And so I know that the next 3 nights, Dr. Bertin and Mr. Doyon will be doing some webinars with our current students to help onboard them and understand what the process is going to look like. But really what we have been talking about is purpose and patience in the process. That's been sort of a central focus for us, knowing that nobody did sign on for this shift, students or faculty, but that really just having trust in the fact that our faculty will be able to create and develop meaningful learning experiences as they do in the face-to-face classroom, but wanting to equip them with the tools to make those available in the virtual context. So, I mean, we can, if folks are interested in sort of more of the details, we can certainly answer those questions. So feel free to ask if you have more specifics. But it's one of those pieces that there's mixed emotions. I think there's a lot of, sadness around the loss. To see the students today feels really great, and also a little bit sad to know how, that you're far away a little bit right now. So some sadness there, but also a lot of excitement, really, really positive energy from our teachers today, getting ready to make this shift online. So mixed energy, mixed emotions.
Absolutely. Great. Next one actually is for you, Dr. Willis, as well. How much homework do students typically have?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we have students on, so you all can respond to that too. But typically, teachers are assigning between 20 and 30 minutes of homework each night when they have class the next day. So we have a 2-hour study hall built into our schedule each night. And so teachers are giving in that ballpark of time for homework. That's going to vary if there's a test coming up where students are working on a project. There may also be more quiet nights where they've just taken a test and that teacher's not assigning homework for the next day. And so it tends to vary, but we find that 2 hours is sufficient for students to be completing their work. So I don't know, Grace or Ryan or Manisa, if you want to jump in and sort of give a sense for on a nightly basis, how much work you're tackling what that feels like.
Yeah, I'd say as a repeat sophomore, I take most of my junior year classes, and I get like an hour to 2 on most nights. If I have more tests, then it will be a little bit longer for studying, but it's usually no longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd say junior year was definitely the most involved, but it depends, you know, what classes you're in, because it also depends on the student too, because different students take different amount of time for different assignments. But like Dr. Willis said, we have study hall every school night, and I remember coming in, I was not good with time management, but it's helped build that into me. Where some nights, you know, it will take you longer than 2 hours to get your work done, but you know, you have your free periods during the day and you have extra time here and there where you really need to, you know, buckle down and get stuff done. But there are nights too where, you know, you can finish your homework in an hour and then you can spend the other hour, you know, either getting ahead or find something else to do. But time management, I honestly think is one of the biggest things that I learned from Cushing, and study hall has actually helped in that a lot, even though most people would complain about study hall. Yeah.
This question is for our seniors in particular. What was involved in your college counseling process, and where are you at in that process today? Manisa, do you want to take the first?
Yeah, sure. So you're assigned a college counselor in your junior year. And even though the contact during junior year is not super intense, we definitely do, you know, schedule testing and all of that. And then your college counselor sort of helps you build your list. I mean, my college counselor was very, very helpful. Like, I would just tell her what I was looking for, and she would come up with most of the substantial stuff. So, like, it's great. There's a lot of support there. And then for the application process itself, obviously we do that ourselves, but there's always someone to answer your questions and to proofread your essays at school if you have to. My advisor, Dr. Willis, has proofread mine. So yeah, the college process is really streamlined because of all the help you get. As for where I am in the process now, at this point, I've actually heard back from all my colleges. I don't know for sure where I'm going, but I have my top choice, which is still UCLA. I mentioned this to them already, but yeah, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, the college counseling process for me was super, super helpful. You know, they take a lot of stress out of, sorry, a super stressful process. You know, you start junior year with your group meetings where you kind of just get the fundamentals on how to use, you know, like Naviance and all the different college board stuff. But as far as testing goes, deadlines for, you know, applications, all that stuff, they're super on top of it all. Miss Nix, who's kind of like the head honcho over in the college counseling office, she is the best at making sure, you know, you got everything ready to go. I decided on UNH last month, so I'm excited about that. And I just know that the college counseling office has done so much for me. And I also saw that somebody wrote about extracurriculars as far as college process goes in the chat. So for that, there's so many opportunities, I think, throughout the school, whether, you know, because when you apply to college on the Common App, there's a bunch of, there's like an activity section where you can put down a bunch of small stuff, where, you know, you got things like head tour guide or SWAT team, like I mentioned, or being a proctor, stuff like that really goes a long way. So there's opportunities like that Cushing gives that other schools really don't. But there's also the other basic stuff like clubs and Model UN and stuff like that you can choose to participate on campus. And having stuff like that on your college app does go a long way.
Thank you. Mr. Doyon, question for you. How many students are generally in each dormitory, and are they co-ed?
Our dorms are not co-ed. So our dorms are all single gender, and the average amount of students in the dorm is about 45. We have 10 dorms open right now. We have 4 girls for dorms, and we have 6 dorms for boys. And you know, 45 is the average. Our largest girls dorm, which Grace lives in, has 85 beds in it. So that, you know, that ranges anywhere from freshmen to seniors. And where Manisa is living, That is typically, that's Lee House. It's typically for our juniors and seniors and PGs, and that's 45 girls in there. And Ryan's living in Ash, and that's 46. And typically juniors, seniors, and some postgraduates as well.
And Mr. Doyon, if you could then touch on how does supervision in the dorm work? Like, are there adults living there?
Yes, we do have adults. Most dorms have about 3 adults per dorm. And kind of what supervision is you know, adults is, for the majority of our adults who live here, you know, living and working at a boarding school is really a life choice. You know, it's something that we have chosen to do, you know, based on a previous experience that we've probably had. And so, you know, coming in with that perception and coming with that mentality, I think that's really the basis of a lot of the work that we ultimately do, and ultimately why we gravitate to a school like Cushing. And so what supervision looks like is there's an adult on duty at all times. That they are extremely visible from about 7:30 at night to the end of study hall, which you know, depending on the grade of the student, lasts until about 10:30. And then we also do lights out. And so we have an adult in the dorm for overnight coverage. And then we have adults who are also on duty in the dorm on the weekends, who are doing various activities. I know in Lee House, it's a lot of baking. It's a lot of it's a lot of stuff in the common room, and it's also just ordering a lot of pizzas and calzones from some of the local places as well. You know, we also have a health center on our campus. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if anything pops up over the course of the night, or even in between classes, students can definitely go to our health center. And in there we have registered nurses who can do the minor care that ultimately needs to happen in terms of dealing with upset stomachs, dealing with stuffy noses, dealing with headaches. And then for anything that we ultimately cannot focus on, there is Haywood Hospital, which is about 15 minutes down the road.
Great. I can take the next question. Are there any restrictions on using athletic facilities during the day? Certainly a lot of our athletic facilities are open during the day if students have a free period. Our ice rink is open during the day that students take advantage of. Our field house and gymnasium, weight rooms, fitness areas. So those are open and available if students have free time, and it's part of that navigating the use of that free time that Ryan spoke about earlier. Next question. For our students, do you have a favorite moment in the dorm or in the classroom?
I think I actually have one. So my first day, when I was moving into the dorm in alumni, I didn't know anyone. I actually missed the international student orientation that we had because I cut my ticket too early. But there was this girl who was just, you know, she wasn't even a proctor. She was a new student herself. And she saw me struggling to get my luggage up. And she just grabbed it from me, was like, "Oh, I got you. Like, I'll help you get it up." And then she like brought it up to my room, like said hello to my parents. She was only here for preseason, but I thought she, you know, was so welcoming and like already was comfortable in that environment. And she was actually an exchange student from Austria and ended up becoming one of my best friends. And I still talk to her to this day. Like I FaceTimed her a couple days ago. We're both on lockdown. It was like, just from that one gesture, like we built a friendship that lasted so long, and from such a long distance, I still have contact. And yeah, I really remember that about her.
Nice.
Mine's probably a bit of a complicated answer. I like to, you know, look at living in the dorm as like organized chaos, right? And, you know, coming home, being home right now, you know, I miss it a lot. And I tried bringing some of it home. So my freshman year, one of my buddies like was really like wanted a haircut, and like he didn't want to go downtown to the barber downtown, didn't want to go off camp, didn't want to wait. So we ended up giving him a haircut in the bathroom. And I don't know if you guys are looking at my head right now. I had my dad do it to me the other day, just because like I miss that kind of organized chaos. But there's so many moments in the dorm where you just have these kind of like bonding moments. And memories you'll make for a lifetime. But one of my personal favorites is probably from this year, and lights out in our dorm is 11 o'clock. on the weekdays, and it was like 11:03, but a bunch of us were just kind of hanging out at the end of our hallway, like not even in a room, outside in the hallway, just chatting. And our dorm head came up and he saw how much fun we were having, and he just gave us like an extra 10 minutes just because like it's the little things like that that just go the longest way for all of us. And I'm gonna miss that so much after I graduate, and but you make memories for a lifetime.
Yeah, so during my I think it was like our second week of the year, and I still hadn't really I was still talking to everybody, trying to find my friends, it was still stressful for me. And one of a girl I knew who was on my team invited me up to her room to hang out, and there was a bunch of us up there, and we were all just hanging out, talking, and that was just finding my friends. And then we decided we were going to play this game where we sat in a circle and we filled our mouths with water, and then you tried to make each other laugh. And then once you did, you spit it all over each other. And so everyone was just sitting there soaking wet, dying laughing on the floor. And that was just when I knew I'd found my people, and I just love that moment.
Great, thank you. Question for Dr. Willis. What does a typical 9th grade schedule look like?
Great. Yeah. So we schedule students individually. And so there's no typical 9th grade schedule. I would say that most 9th graders are likely taking literature and composition 1. And the first of our world history classes called Foundations in World History. So that tends to be what a 9th grade student is taking for an English and history if they're in the mainstream track. Other 9th grade students may be in our ESL program taking courses there. But then really our math and our science and our world language are going to be, that schedule we built around what a student is coming in with and what they're interested. So biology is a graduation requirement for us. So a lot of 9th grade students take bio, but you don't have to take it in your 9th grade year. You may wait and take it in 10th grade and take something like conceptual physics in 9th grade instead. You may come in algebra 1, you might come in geometry. And so potentially sort of some differences there. And then again, most students are coming in starting a classical modern world language in 9th grade, and we offer French and Spanish and Mandarin and Latin. And so students can come in and start that at the 1 level. If it feels like they've had so much world language that Spanish 2 makes more sense, we really want to make sure that the schedule fits the student individually. And so that's not a perfect answer because it probably doesn't tell you exactly what you would take, but we do that process over the course of the summer with a student. We ask for course selection, input from families, and then we build it around those forums and conversations with families to make sure it's the right fit.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Doyon, how do new students acclimate to campus?
Yeah, I think our new students acclimate to campus well, and part of that is some of the intentionality and work that we are ultimately trying to do from our office, do with our advisors, do with our dorm parents, or do with our day student advisor, and ultimately with our students and our proctors. So to kind of gear it up, we do ask our student leaders to come back to campus a little bit early. They are usually on campus for about a week. And they are going through, creating name tags, talking about what it means to be a part of the Cushing community, and how to ultimately make sure that they are extending that welcoming hand, and even thinking about not having people even sit at home at lunch. So these are a lot of questions that we are ultimately questions and conversations that we're having with our students. So they're a little primed, and then. It's assigning every student an advisor, and that advisor is really working with that student, to think about how their transition is going, to think about what supports that they may ultimately need, and just to really make sure that they have a good sense of the day ahead, the week ahead, and we just have various checkpoints like that throughout the course of the week, and then throughout the course of the first month. That first week is pretty draining. It's just emotionally, it's just a lot going on. It's adjusting to a routine. It's having campus full. It's doing all of those different, just doing all those little different pieces, you know, where we're basically going from 0 to 100 miles per hour, like in the course of really 5 days. But, you know, everyone, as Grace was talking about, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, for most of our new students to really start to establish their friend groups and, you know, really start to figure out who their connections will be. And, you know, and I think that those connections really last through students throughout the whole course of the year. And even in Manisa's case, you know, continue multi-years as they continue on through Cushing.
Great, thank you. Dr. Willis, a question for academics. What are some of the elective options?
Yeah, great. So especially for 11th and 12th graders, there are some really fun electives to consider. We have an art requirement, so students are required to take an art each year that you're here. And so 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, you know, each of those years. And you can satisfy the art requirement in particular either through a semester course or in the afternoon through our activities. We offer really a wide range both times. So 9th and 10th grade students, in terms of electives, probably you're looking at art as those options, and we offer, and the students can speak to what they've taken, but ceramics and metalsmithing and drawing. You can, I'm gonna leave some out so you guys can talk about some of what you've taken. We also offer dance and acting and some other performing arts components. And then as you get into that 11th and 12th grade, gosh, we offer a bunch of really cool history electives in particular. So you can take psychology, you can take a class called civil society. We have an international relations class. We're looking to add an ethics class for next year. We have senior English electives. So students can take semester-long classes that they're around different content areas. And so there's a class called Marginalized Voices. There's one called Island Experience. And so they're kind of grouped around the kind of books that you're going to participate in, but there's also like a creative writing, senior English, and so obviously there you're doing a bit more original work. So those are some of the electives that come to mind. We also, once you get into some of the upper level science classes, you can be choosing between you know, AP courses, which we have a few of those in science in particular, but also a class like engineering or anatomy and physiology. You can be taking an ecology class. And so, yeah, we have a course catalog that would walk you through all of those, but there really are a wide range of electives to be exploring.
Great. Any of our students want to talk about an elective they've taken that was a favorite?
I'll just say that with the art requirement, I'm not much of an artist. I've taken metalsmithing 3 times and fused glass this year. And like I said, I'm not a very talented artist, and you should have seen how excited I was when I made my first ring in metalsmithing. Nothing fancy, just, you know, a silver band, but it was so much fun. You know, just learning kind of different stuff about it, but also kind of like just discovering something new was a totally new experience for me. Was a lot of fun, and you also can meet new people that way too.
Great, thanks. Mr. Doyon, question: what are typical times that parents visit during the school year?
Yeah, so at Cushing we do have 2 formal times, which are our family weekends. So there's one in the fall and there's one in the winter. And informally, I think we really see parents on campus on Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, which are typically our game days. But throughout the year, we have many events. We have our performing arts that do just series of plays or open studios or open galleries or even dances. And parents are always welcome to attend. They're always welcome to stop by the dining hall for a meal. And I think, you know, even some parents, you know, sending your child away to boarding school is hard. So we've even seen some parents will plan a trip once a month and just do a little spring cleaning in their child's room from time to time. So, you know, parents are always welcome to be on campus.
Great. Another question, Mr. Doyon, for you. Speaking earlier, you spoke about health services. Evaluate that a little bit, particularly if a student has medication needs. What does that look like? You know, can they keep it in their room? What do they need to go to the health center?
Yeah, so we ask all medications and even most over the counter medications to first go through our health center, just based on the on kind of on the laws and regulations of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Any controlled substance needs to be administered to the health center, no matter age. And so, you know, that is, for us, that really becomes our clearinghouse. And then if there's anything like Advil, Tylenol, you know, again, it's just good to bring the health center into the loop, and then they will ultimately make the decision, you know, can students have that in their room and can they not have that in the room?
Great. Thank you. One more question. If anyone in our attendee audience has more to type, we do have a little more time, but I don't want to keep you if you've had all your questions answered, or if you participated last week and you're back for more this week. So for our students, and if you do have more questions, type them in and we'll keep going, but this is the last one in the queue that we have as of now. But for our students, what are some of your favorite traditions at Cushing?
Yeah, so I think mine is definitely the all-school handshake. It's basically so it happens twice a year, at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. And all the students, all the faculty line up and you basically meet everyone individually and kind of shake their hand. So the first one is kind of just a meeting. So you see people's faces. You don't necessarily recognize a lot of people. But at the end of the year, it's more hugs and tears and just so much more intimate. And I think I like it a lot because it shows like how your relationship with everyone has progressed over just 1 year, and how many people you've gotten to know from 0 to 100. So yeah, I think the all-school handshake is definitely my favorite.
I'd say my favorite is probably winter celebration. So it starts out like a formal dinner, and then everyone walks over to a bunch of performances that go on in assembly. So since I'm part of a cappella, we sang a few songs, and then we watched everyone else perform. And then after that, you walk through all the other dorms, common rooms, and halls, and it's all decorated for Christmas or the holidays. And it's really cute, and like everyone takes pictures, and I like that one a lot.
My favorite's probably Mountain Day. Once a year, you know, we all head out to Mount Monadnock and climb the mountain. I think this year we had over 90% of the school climb, which was awesome. But, you know, there's a little competition involved, dorm Olympic points for the amount of heads you get to the top of the mountain. But it's a ton of fun because you're just outside with your friends. You miss a day of school. And we've had great weather all 4 years that I did it. So, you know, when it's clear enough, you can see Boston, you can see the skyline off the top of the mountain, but it's awesome because everybody, you know, is up on top of the mountain just getting pictures. You know, there's a whole school picture. And then when you get back down to the bottom, there's a nice barbecue that our dining hall puts on. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great day. And everybody has some awesome stories for Mountain Day too.
Great. Well, I don't have any other questions, so I we'll just leave you with a few reminders. As I said at the beginning of our session tonight, we still have times where you can have individual conversations with me. You can have them with Dr. Willis, with Mr. Doyon. We each have our different perspectives from academics, from student affairs, from the head of school perspective. Also, I have 2 children at the school, so also from a parent perspective. And look for emails this week as we'll send them out where you can have conversations with our students, just like tonight, but in a one-on-one fashion. If you have questions maybe you didn't want to put forth in the panel tonight, if you're more comfortable talking on an individual basis, you can certainly get those answered. Thank you to all our panelists. I know we're all have different demands in a lot of different areas, so I appreciate you joining us. And Manisa, thank you for coming across many time zones to join us as well. All right. Thank you to our audience, and please let us know if you have additional questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you.